Okay, so this one, is that at the 45 or the 30? 30. It's a 30. And so this is our, if I'm just writing the pattern on top of here, that's my x. That is my x root 3 side. This would be my 2x side. And so since it gave me the 2 on the x root 3 side, what I have to do is put an equal sign here. 2 equals x root 3. And I need to solve for x. What do I do to solve for x? Divide by root 3. Okay, so that cancels out. So x equals 2 over root 3. Can I leave it as 2 over root 3? No, what do I have to do instead? Yeah, so I multiply by root 3 over root 3. This is something a lot of people got mixed up on at the test, so that's your review. So root 3 times root 3 just gives us whole number 3, and then the top is just 2 root 3. So my x is 2 root 3 over 3. My y, I then multiply by 2. Which number actually multiplies by 2? The 2. So that just becomes 4 root 3 over 3. So just watch. That seems to be the one I get the most questions on, is what to do if they give you the x root 3 side. You just divide. All right, and then the next one, 45 or 30? 45. So that's easy, where we just have x, x, and then this is my x root 2 side. And so again, I'm going to have to multiply or divide. Divide. So that's going to be that x root 2 equals 4, divide by root 2, divide by root 2. And then my simplify steps is root 2 over root 2. So that gives me 4 root 2 over whole number 2. Can that reduce? So that just reduces to 2 root 2. So when you have whole numbers, you can reduce them. You just can't ever reduce if we have a radical and then a whole number. They have to stay separate. All right, next one. This is another one that I wanted to point out. I saw a lot of mistakes on the test where people saw this and recognized that it was an altitude and wanted to use like leg squared or altitude squared. So just a reminder, you cannot use those formulas from the last one unless it's a right triangle cut in half. So if we had this, do that on here, I guess, so it's a video. If this was cut in half and then an altitude there, that's where we could use the leg squared, altitude squared from that last unit. And so those of you who still have to take the test or are planning to retest, that's something you can watch for. If it's this, where that's not a right angle up there, we just have to do straight Pythagorean theorem. Are there questions over that? I can pause the video if you have questions. Okay. And as I was reminded, we're going back. If x is 2 root 2, what is y? 2 root 2, because they're just the same when we're on the 45, 90. Okay, so this one, first we need to find out what y is so that we know, are we dealing with the 45, 90 or the 30, 60, 90? And so, what do we know about this triangle from what they gave us? We know this is 90. And we know this is 12, 12, and 12. It's equilateral. Does anyone remember what the angles of an equilateral triangle are? Yeah. So it means all the angles are the same, which means they're all is the 180 divided by 3, so 60-degree angles. So if this is 60, then this is 60, this is 60, and each half has to be 30. So that's my 30, 60, 90 triangle from the top of your paper where you have it written down. And so that means that across from the 30, my 6 equals x, 12 equals 2x, and this x that I'm asked to find is just the x root 3, so it would be the 6 root 3. And y was the 60 that we found. See how much easier that is than like doing the whole Pythagorean theorem out? Saves a lot of time to follow these patterns. Okay, on this one it looks different because I drew this square root in the middle, but just ignore that. This is 45, so if this side is 10, what is x? 10. It's the same. What's y? 10 root 2. These are the easy ones. Alright, the next one gives us a square root. Is that going to make it easier or harder, do you think? Easier, because it gave it to me on the x root 2 side. And so if x root 2 equals 5 root 2, I just divide by root 2. They cancel out, and so x and y are both 5. Alright, on the next one, it gave me root 2. It didn't give me any angles, but what do I know about the angles by these two? Yeah, it means the angles have to be equal. So if this is 90, it means it's an isosceles triangle. Does isosceles have an E on the end?
Yeah. No.
Okay, I'll take your word for it and say no. I think you're right. Okay, so we do the 180 minus 90 to equal 90, and then just divide it by 2 to equal 45. So those marks let us know that we're using the 45-degree angles. So if this is root 2, what is x? I heard someone say root 3. Root 2, right? X is the same. And if this side then is supposed to be x root 2, so what is root 2 times root 2? Root 4, which simplifies to whole number 2. Yeah. Alright, and then the next two are our big problems where we're finding 4 sides of this shape. So, first thing to recognize when we're doing this is what triangle do you think I'm going to start working with? The 30 or the 45? So if I try working with the 45, do I have any numbers to go off of? No. So because I have the 25 here, I'm going to go off of the 30. And so that would mean my 25 equals the 2x. This is my x root 3. And this is my x side. So if 25 is 2x, just divide by 2. Because this is pre-AP geometry, we're leaving it in fraction form. We aren't converting to decimal. So that was h is 25 root 2. And then I just have to multiply that times root 3. Does the root 3 go along with the 25 or with the 2 or with both? What do you guys think? So remember, yeah, the 25. When we're multiplying with fractions, you technically put it root 3 over 1. And so you just multiply across the top. So 25 root 3 over 2. Alright, now we can move on to my next triangle, the 45-degree triangle. And so if h is 25 over 2, what is x? 25 over 2, same thing, because they're both the x in the formula. And then this is just x root 2. And so I just multiply the 25 over 2 times root 2 to get 25 root 2 over 2. Don't you love all those fractions? No. Alright. One more problem, and then you guys get to try it in your assignment. Alright, so on number 9, which triangle do you think I'm going to start with? Or could I start with either? I could start with either, because the 5 root 3 goes along with either. And so let's go ahead and draw the triangle. If this is the 60, that's the 30, which means my formula, this would be x, this would be 2x, and that would be my x root 3 side. And so if 5 root 3 is x root 3, what is x? Just 5. and then 2x would be our 10, which is u. And then on this side, is 5 root 3 the x side or the x root 3 side for the other triangle? Yeah, so on the second triangle that they're joined together, that's my x side. So now I have 5 root 3 equals x, and I have to solve for the x and the 2x. And so to solve for x, or sorry, to get x root 3 here, what do I do? Yeah, multiply. So I just take 5 root 3 times root 3, which gives me 5 times 3, which gives me 15. So that is my y side is 15, and then 30 would be the 2x. Okay, I just had pointed out to me that if 5 root 3 equals x, 2x would have to go to the 10 root 3 instead of taking the 15 and going to 30. So that was incorrect. Please fix it on your notes. That should be 10 root 3.